Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to podcast number 3. So it's a real thing. These things happen. Welcome to episode 3. Today we're going to talk about Azerbaijan, Baku. What a race it was. While I get the chat up to see who has made it. KPH here, man. What's up, bro? Hopefully we get just a few more people. But while that happens, what did I think of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix? It was a little bit boring, and it was very exciting at the same time. Out of 5, I think I'd give it a 4. And I would say it only got a 4 because of the last couple laps. Before then, I wasn't having a very, very fun time at all. So I don't know what you guys thought of the race. Apparently, strategy was huge as well. Obviously, I was following the entire race. I didn't think strategy was that interesting this time around. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. And Robin's back in the house. Welcome back, Robin. Good to see you around. This is obviously you're back for the podcast again. I'm going to obviously as well keep a better eye on Discord. Discord gets the the priority if you're asking questions. So I'm keeping a decent eye on that as well. In the Formula 1 channel. In our Discord, if you're not a part of our Discord, link in the description, go ahead, you're all welcome. So yeah, Baku happened, Hamilton won, Raikkonen came second, and Sergio Perez got himself on the podium, the third as well, making him the most successful Mexican Formula 1 driver there has ever been, which is an interesting fact. So yeah, that was that. So yeah, we're going to talk about a few things. I should have had a list made up, I totally forgot to do that. But let's talk about the first lap as well. The first lap was absolutely carnage. We had Sorokin out and Ocon out. What happened to Ocon was he had the leading line coming up to, where was it, turn 3. Raikkonen saw a gap, put his car on the inside, and then obviously they both went for the turn, and Ocon was on the outside. Raikkonen had absolutely nowhere to go. And after the race, Ocon was pretty much saying that he had the line and Raikkonen maybe should have backed off a little bit. So I don't know what you guys think about the Raikkonen thing. It was a little thing, but Ocon saying, you know, back at DTM, if that had happened, Raikkonen would have probably had a drive-through penalty. But I thought it was more a racing incident than anything else. KPH saying all the time you have to leave space. I totally agree with that, but I know Ocon had he was in front completely. But as a racing driver, I would totally expect to go for that gap that was on the inside. So I thought maybe Ocon could have left a little bit more space, because Raikkonen had nowhere to go. But that's just my opinion, but totally open for opinion here. Carbon Copy saying it was going to happen, inevitable. Totally was inevitable. Especially when you try to put 2 cars around a corner that's probably just 2 cars wide, they're not going to go very far. So that was one of the first incidents, and then there was Sorokin, who I still really don't know what happened there. It was sort of squeezed in with Stroll and Alonso, and Alonso somehow he got a puncture from it, so Sorokin's out. But Alonso got a puncture on his his left tyres, front and rear, so he was driving back to the pits on 2 wheels like this, scraping everywhere he went. It was totally nuts. Yeah, Carbon, I agree with the 90-degree turns being a killer. I mean, there's only one apex on a 90-degree turn, so you're going to meet up at some point, especially if you're trying to put 2 cars wide through there. Kate is saying, figured out why all the drivers were locking up. Was it because they were struggling to get temperature into the tyres, maybe? Or was it something I am totally overlooking? Yeah, Alonso did a great job. We'll go back to him. We'll go back to that in a second. But Alonso did a fantastic job driving his car on 2 wheels and getting himself 7th place by the end of it all, which was amazing. And then standout driver by the end of the day was obviously Charles Leclerc. I'm pretty sure he should have gotten driver of the day. He was my driver of the day. I'm pretty sure he was most of your guys' driver of the day. But yeah, good points for him. He drove his life. He managed to stay out of all the trouble. And yeah, got some good points for Sauber at the end of it. So, the tyres, yeah, there was a lot of lock-ups. KBH, I think, will let us know in a second. But a lot of locking up going on. Carbon saying, kind of annoyed with the tyres being so cold in the wind. But I guess that was down to the calendar change. Yeah, I think it's usually a lot warmer. I think we're, 2 months earlier at Baku this year. So, it was a different thing, I guess. I don't know. I guess it's one of those things, as if Formula 1 being the pinnacle, I guess you just got to adapt and overcome, as they say, and do your very best. Cold tyres or what. It makes for an interesting race. I'll tell you that. And while we're on the talk of Baku, it's just a rumour. There's talk of Baku this year having been its last Grand Prix. I heard that Liberty Media might want to swap Baku for Miami. So I know they're trying to get into the US market and, you know, market everything a little better down in the States. But I'm not sure you want to get rid of Baku. I know it's a new track. When did it first appear? 2016? I think it was 2016. Was our first Grand Prix there. Maybe it was 2015. But, yeah, I'm not sure you want to get rid of Baku after what we saw on the weekend. Maybe, I know the calendar's long enough already, but if you were going to put Miami in, what would you get rid of? Let me know what track you get rid of. This is not something I've thought about. I'm trying to think. I'm almost tempted to say get rid of Monaco, because it's pretty much a parade for 2 hours. I think someone else said that during the stream. But Monaco's one of those tracks, I think, that you don't get rid of. I don't know where you get rid of. I don't know. I'd like to hear what you guys think. If you're going to get rid of Baku because going to Miami, so if you're going to get rid of a track because adding Miami, what track do you get rid of? Not something I've thought of, so I'm going to have to give that a little bit of a thought. While you guys are thinking about that, KPH has come up with the answer for the soft cold tyre issue. What did we have to say on that? Yeah, kind of an... sorry, that was Cubbins. The time that we usually have the Baku GPs later in the year, yep. The time we had it this year is different. Temperatures are higher, and that means tyres can overheat or underheat. Also, the wind being strong created a lot of dusty conditions and dirty air. This means the brakes also intake a lot of dust, creating more heat. So it was just simple as that, was it? Just the wind and just the time of year. It's definitely interesting. I suppose it was obviously the first time they've had it at this time of the year. So it was something different that all the drivers had to relate. So, but like, I mean, at the same time, it's level across the whole entire grid. So, yeah, I wasn't too annoyed with it. But yeah, going back to the, if you're a first-time watcher, or even if you're listening, we do jump topics quite erratically here. We haven't really figured out the format yet. This is, I think, episode 3. So, yeah, enjoy it. Carbon copy going back about the track change. Yeah, Monaco has become impossible, but it's the it's the heritage of it that appeals. I totally agree on that. I mean, I think if Monaco didn't have the heritage that has, I think you'd probably get rid of it. But yeah, there's no way hell you'd see Monaco leave the Formula 1 calendar at all. I even think if Monaco wanted to pull out, even the F1 would.
Hey, sorry about that, guys. This is my encoder, completely different issue, but it always seems to cut out at exactly the same amount of time into the stream, and then I have to restart it, and it's fine since. I don't know if it's because I'm running ultra low latency, but yeah, sorry about that buffering. I have paid very good money for a lifetime license of XSplit. It's great. It makes putting things together really, really easy. But I wonder if I would have these issues with the free stuff, what's it called, Open Broadcaster. Might have to have a little test. Or maybe it's YouTube, I don't know. So I do apologize about the stream dropping out there, and that was really annoying. But I noticed it immediately. I was about to say with the tyre stuff, KPH said he made a little count of how many lockups there were in the whole weekend. What's this? 2.357 lockups from the grid. Is that on average? Yeah, but there were a few. I mean, we didn't get to see a lot of them. I mean, talking of lockups, and we go forward now to after the Verstappen and Ricciardo crash. Vettel locked up trying to make an overtake into first after the restart, and because he was on the ultra soft, completely wrecked those tyres. He probably would have had massive vibrations, probably a huge flat spot, but we didn't have long left in the race to go anyway. I guess if he didn't go for it, then we'd all be on his back for not having a go. Because he locked up, yeah, was it the dust and the wind playing a part with Vettel there as well? Carbon's got 2 questions. Is the castle section too dangerous, and are there too many tyre compounds? Too many tyre compounds. You know what I think is the biggest issue with the tyre compounds and the way they do things is that they select what tyre compounds they're going to be using back in, I think it's either November or December. So they haven't even tested the tyres for the year on the cars yet. And they're already choosing what tyres we're using for the race weekends months and months in advance. So I think maybe, I know there's a whole, like, they have to then order the tyres, manufacture the tyres, get the tyres delivered, because there's like billions of them. Got a supply for every team. If they could maybe select the tyres when we know a little bit more about the track and the car, maybe we do that. I don't know. Or, I don't know how stupid this idea is. Do you just let the teams choose what tyre compounds they want? Or is that just a dumb idea? It's not something. The consequences of that is something I've not thought about. I'm sure there's massive consequences for letting teams just go with whatever compound they want. Is the castle section too dangerous? No, I don't think so. It's definitely interesting and fun to watch. But like we haven't really seen a massive accident. Well, we didn't see one on the weekend. The drivers know it pretty well now. I don't know. I don't know if it's too dangerous. I think it's the right level of dangerous. But I don't think it's too dangerous, if that makes sense. Because, yeah, if you stuff up going through there, 1, you can lose a lot of time on your lap. Or 2, you can just be completely out of the race. So there is that. KK's in the house. Welcome to the podcast, KK. Glad to have you along. Will be with me shortly. Awesome. I better go and take another look at the Discord because my phone decided to turn off. So if there are any of you guys in the Discord, I'm sorry. No one said anything. That's fine. Share the link. Yeah, go for it, man. Yeah. Hopefully you can. It might block it, Carbon. So hopefully I can unblock it if you try share. Tell me when you posted it, and I'll go ahead and unblock the link. So yeah, we've talked about the start of the race, the tyres, and KPH coming up. Well, with more information there, thank you very much, dude. And then, what is the next thing I wanted to talk about? Well, let's talk about Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo. After the race, it was made pretty damn clear that they're going to apologise to everyone in the team, including the guys back at Brackley at the HQ there. So I'm sure that's happening. I even think I saw something from Verstappen on Twitter. I don't think it was an official thing, but I definitely saw that Verstappen's reached out. But yeah, the question was, are they going to be allowed to race or not after this? Because Red Bull have always had the ethos that you let the guys race. And we definitely saw them racing in Baku. But at the same time, they've been told you can race, but you leave each other room. And we definitely didn't see that happening, especially when we had Ricciardo doing the overtake on Verstappen, and Verstappen aggressively defending it, and they touched tyres. So it was already pretty evident that they were taking things to the limit by racing each other very, very close. Like, they were way on the limit there. And it's fun to watch. But at the same time, you have the massive accident that happened. Now, I've had a bit of time to think this through. And at the time, I totally blamed Ricciardo. And I still stand by that if we were under normal racing conditions. Say Verstappen wasn't in a Red Bull and he was racing for another team. Daniel Ricciardo was 100% at fault. But when the team lets you race like that, yeah, because Niki Lauda said it. He actually he said 30% blame on Ricciardo, 70% on Verstappen, which I thought was interesting. But if you're telling the guys to race but leave space, Verstappen didn't really do that. But then I'm sort of conflicted going, but he didn't really move under braking. Ricciardo was, he was doing the feint and he was trying to look up on the inside, but then that space disappeared very quickly. So I'm sort of massive conflict in my head because I want to see them race, but I don't want to see them crash because Ricciardo's my boy. Red Bull's my team. They screwed me in fantasy. All these different things. But yeah, but when Lauda says 30% Ricciardo, 70% Verstappen, as a team manager, I understand where he's coming from with that. I totally understand what he's coming with that. So yeah, what have you guys got to say about that incident and maybe the repercussions of this? Carbon says Horner did say he was going to let them race, but they still have to apologise. He did say that. I don't like team orders, but Ricciardo probably should have been let pass since he was faster. Yeah, that was another thing. Ricciardo was just all over Verstappen from the very, very, very beginning. And then he obviously got in front before the pit stops, but Ricciardo didn't have a good outlap, and yeah, Verstappen got the undercut done. And I'm the same. I don't like team orders either. But yeah, at the same time, I totally agree. And I was also thinking, why aren't they letting Ricciardo go? But if they let them race, I guess I understand it. But yeah, the guys at Red Bull, especially Daniel and Max, have learnt a massive lesson from this weekend. So I'm sure if we see them behind each other like that again and say one is faster, I'm sure there's going to be room left when the other car comes looking to make an overtake. I'm sure that will happen in the future from now on. Carbon also adding, I think racing between the two is good, but it's starting to turn dangerous, especially since they had a close call with Verstappen nearly putting him in the wall. Yeah. I thought it was Ricciardo getting put in the wall. Maybe I missed the Verstappen one being put into the wall as well. But they were definitely all over each other, racing hard. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that... Like, they came so close on so many different occasions by almost taking each other out. So, yeah, I get it. I get why they were doing it, but as a team... Yeah, they definitely should have been a little bit more careful because you don't hit your teammate. You don't hit your teammate. Yeah, I thought it was Ricciardo in the wall. Yeah, that's when Ricciardo went to make an overtake out of turn 1. He got all the speed off the DRS. He had the outside line, but Verstappen just kept his foot planted. And that's where they bounced off each other off the front and rear tires pretty much. It was insane, but they somehow come away from that okay, and then yeah, it was like lap 40 we had the massive accident. So yeah, it was sort of inevitable by the end of it, the way those two were driving. It was good to watch, but it wasn't good for the team. Definitely not good for the team. Alright, so KBH says Williams had traction control. Is that traction control problems? Because they definitely have just problems getting up to speed. I know the Red Bull guys were complaining of power or battery problems. What it was the battery was running out before the straight had finished, so they thought they were not charging up enough, but there was just not enough. It was just never enough stored energy in the battery to use because that straight was so long. So that was what happened with those guys. Turbocharger, okay. They had a turbocharger problem that I overlooked. I went looking for things like this so I could beat you to them, KP, but you just beat me every time. D-rating. Oh, D-rating is when I think D-rating's a different issue because it wasn't an issue. They weren't D-rating as such. They were just using everything that they had. So the battery was just running flat. So they thought there was a problem, but there really wasn't. What are we talking about? We're talking about just everything at the moment. We just finished up talking about what would happen with Daniel and Max afterwards, how they had to apologise, how we thought they were racing on the edge a little bit too much. And now KBH has brought up that Williams had not traction control, turbocharger problems. Well, that sucks for Williams because they need all the extra power that they can get at the moment because between you and me, they suck. I don't know, like they just do. It doesn't help that they've got two relatively new drivers. Kubica obviously is their test driver, but he's not out there on the weekends racing. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if Williams can bring any sort of performance or a new performance package to Barcelona in a couple of weeks. So that should be interesting. Hopefully they do, because currently Williams sit on the bottom of the constructors table. And yeah, that's not good for Williams. His thoughts on Shirokian: it seems like he's having a mixture of bad luck, inexperience, and bad performance. Yeah, I think he's what are we in the fourth round now? So his fourth race. I think it's just getting to grips with the sport and how everyone is and how everyone drives and just learning that. Yeah, and the fact that his car doesn't seem to have as much power as everyone else doesn't help. But I'm sure Shirokian will in time. We'll see what he's got. And if he outshines Stroll or not will be interesting to see as well. If once he's learnt, felt his way through Formula One. So hopefully we can see him have a better race come Spain. Because it would be good to see what he's like against Stroll. KK saying Hamilton's currently accusing Vettel of illegal... Yeah. I did read that. Now, I don't know if you remember, but when I was commentating it, I started commentating like we were racing it, because I dead set thought Vettel had taken off. And yeah, Hamilton did even say during the race, I had a radio played, I don't have the radios on me now, but he did say that, Vettel was putting the brake on during the restart. I don't know if it's illegal though, because he controls the pace. Was it a little bit risky? I think definitely. But I'm not sure on the legality of it. I think it's okay. It could be okay. But yeah, it was something I noticed as well. Whether or not he's allowed to do it or not is another question. I guess he can, because there was a busy stewards room at the end of the race, and it obviously never came up. So yeah, I don't know if they'll be talking the drivers' meeting or if that'll come up at some point. So that'll be an interesting point to see if it's mentioned past this weekend as well. I'm trying to find the I did read the story about that, but I can't seem to find it. No. Don't know. I had a thing open before, but I can't find it now. Yeah, so KBH adding he's allowed to do it. I totally thought he was allowed to do it as well. Because once that safety car, takes off, the leader is essentially the safety car controlling the pack. And I guess if he wants to do that, he's more than entitled to do it. So, yeah, I can't see a problem with it. I can see it being risky, but it sort of worked, didn't it? So, yeah. It'll be interesting to see if maybe Hamilton at some point, if he's leading a race during a safety car, tries it at some point during the year. Or if we see it again from Vettel, I don't know. But yeah, something I did notice, and it was really weird to watch. But yeah, again, totally within his rights to do it. I totally agree with that. So yeah. I've just got to catch up on the chat. Because you always seem to say things and I miss it. KBH adding in, how do we feel about the height of the curbs around Baku? See, and we'll answer that question. Carbon saying, see, that's a little hypocritical of Hamilton, considering he has done the same thing, especially through 2016. British GP was the worst, I remember. Yeah, it is a little bit, isn't it? Maybe he's got a short memory. I know I do, so I don't blame him. Like, at the time, though, it didn't seem dangerous. But yeah, I guess it is hypocritical if he... I don't remember that, because I was probably sleeping during that run. But, yeah, fair enough. The curbs, let's go to the curbs. KPH mentioned the curbs. Carbon said, the curbs are quite dangerous on the 90-degree turns. The others, I think, are okay. I didn't really think about the curbs at all. The only curb I think that needs to be changed, and not because it's unsafe, is the one on turn 16. Because they were getting pushed out wide there a lot because of wind, and during practice and especially qualifying. That's the same corner that Raikkonen screwed his qualifying lap on, which he would have definitely gotten pole if he had nailed that lap. But they can easily run wide onto the apron there, and there's no real disadvantage to it. I think that curb might need to be maybe just raised a little bit, so there's a little bit more consequence for running wide there. That's just how I feel, though. But yeah, I didn't really have an issue with the height of the cars. I'm sure as a driver I'd have a completely different view. But, again, not something I ever thought about at all during the weekend. It was only over 16 that I thought was a little bit easy for the drivers. So yeah, I don't know what you guys thought about maybe that. Something a little bit different. But yeah, 16 was the only one that I thought maybe could be changed. And yeah, and then we have Bottas blowing up his tyre because some debris was left on the track, and we had a massive safety car period, compounded because Grosjean crashed under the safety car, and he said that he changed the settings for, what do you call it, the brake bias, and he says his rear's locked up because he put more bias on the rear. So the Pro to B's just added the driver standings. Thank you very much for that. Who's on the bottom? So yeah, Williams have only got 4 points in their constructors. Sergei Shirokin hasn't got one. Either does Grosjean. Well, they're the only two to have not scored. Sucks to be those two guys. Yeah, so Grosjean said he changed his bias. It was on the rear too much the lap before or something, and he locked up because it was cold, and off he went. But it was... I would have hated to have been Grosjean. I would have hate to have been him during that incident, because that's just embarrassing. Going back to the curbs, Carbon said they're quite dangerous on the 90-degree turns. KPH saying once the safety is over, no, that's about the Vettel thing. Turn 15 is the most awkward one, being off camber. Yeah, because turn 15, you sort of, you come through like a fast section, and then you're sort of coming down a hill, and then yeah, it is a little slightly off camber, isn't it? I didn't think there was an issue there. Just a lot of people struggled with that as well. A lot of lockups into 15. I didn't realise you were KK, that you were I'm the Pro. So thank you for doing that, dude. Thank you. Yeah. And I do apologise for not doing this yesterday. And I'll show you the culprit. It was a piece of hardware. And you're going to laugh at me when I show you this. It's a $2 hub that I bought from Woolworths. And I'd been using it flawlessly for about a year now. But it decided to not work last night. It wasn't powering anything. It wasn't doing anything. So I went out and bought a USB 3 powered hub. And now I can plug heaps of stuff into my laptop. So, fixed. Yeah, Woolies, blame Woolies. Or just blame me for being cheap. Because I think this was $2. And then the new one, I can't really show you because it's plugged in. Hang on, can you see it? This is why we didn't stream the thing last night. It's right here. Yeah. See, that's a Ferrari. And yeah, that thing was definitely last year's McLaren Honda, for sure. But that was like $73, man. It's not cheap. So that sucked. So, yes. Also, Force India's new under tray. What do we think? I haven't got it. I didn't know they had a new under tray. How do you find it? Is there a website you go to? Because I really need to read up on this stuff. Like I said last podcast. Didn't know they had a new under tray. Or are you just reading it on the F1 website? But yeah, Perez. Well done to Perez. He came third. He managed to fight his way through the pack and stay out of all the carnage. And then when Vettel locked up, and then Bottas had his puncture, Perez come running through. I think he was only there for 2 laps. Wasn't he? Only even 1 lap. But he did it. He got third, and the team were over the moon. And yeah, I guess it was something because Ocon earlier in the race had been run into the wall by Raikkonen. So it was good to see Force India getting some points there. And I'm probably thinking I might add Perez to my fantasy team for the next race. I'm not sure. Something I've got to think about now. But I didn't do too bad in fantasy considering we had only 13 people finish the race, which kind of sucked. So Perez currently sits, thanks to KK, or I'm the Pro. Where is Perez? It's got to be up there somewhere. Oh, and if Bottas hadn't had the puncture, he'd be leading the championship. Think about that. That's nuts, eh? Daniel Ricciardo, Fender. Where is Perez? 9th with 15 points. But yeah, the most successful Mexican Formula 1 Grand Prix driver. How about that? Well done, Perez. Buffering. Yeah, we just had a terrible bitrate moment there. I'm so glad the stream on the weekend went absolutely flawless, though, apart from the start. But that was good. And most successful driver at Baku, yes. Yes, he is. That's like the most... That's probably the hardest thing to get, is to be the most successful at Baku, because it's the most unpredictable place on planet Earth, let alone this entire universe. Well, the known universe, anyway. Send me a link, please do that. I'd love to read up on all these things that you find out about KPH that I have absolutely zero knowledge of. And yeah, Ferrari dominating. They were dominating at Baku, weren't they? Like, what was it? Was it 3/10 in qualifying? Vettel had over the Bottas or Hamilton, whoever did second. I can't remember. I think it was Hamilton, but it was like 3/10. It was like a lot of time. Yeah, it was insane. So do you think that's all down to the third paddle that Mr. Vettel has in his car? Because Raikkonen doesn't seem to have that paddle, and he went pretty damn quick himself. Like, he was on for a fast lap had he had not screwed up 16. So Ferrari definitely have a primo car, that's for sure. So I wonder if they're going to be bringing much upgrades to Barcelona. Are they going to get further away from the rest of the pack, or the rest of the pack going to catch them up a little bit? That's going to be the most interesting thing, I think, come Spain. Hamilton locked up. Yeah, that's true. He did lock up. He locked up coming into turn 1, went way wide, and yeah, Vettel just like was gone. But then Vettel also locked up, and it's pretty much what screwed him out of the win. So, love or hate it, it sort of balanced itself out at the end, the locking up thing, didn't it? So I'm not really sure. Can we point out that Kimi kissed our wife after the race in front of everyone? Did he? I mustn't have watched it. I didn't really see the podium. I was sort of doing things. But kissed his wife. I didn't see that. But yeah, that's kind of weird from Kimi, isn't it? Oh, another funny Kimi thing is, I think Hamilton posted on Instagram. I just saw a photo of it before. He said, "Oh, this reminds me of how my dad taught me a lesson of never to give up," right? And like had this whole thing, and then it was just Kimi, a selfie with his trophy next to him, and it said his caption was P2. And then you had Hamilton's one where it had like this massive story with like hashtags. Kimi's P2. That was it. I'm gonna have to go get Instagram and follow that guy because he's like the funniest driver on Instagram at the moment. So yeah, what I found really upsetting was the undertake that that Verstappen had on Ricciardo. That's why I was asking, who do you pit first? Because I felt like the undercut was prime. So I guess if Ricciardo had the better lap and didn't get the undercut, we probably would have had that crash, which is something else to think about as well. You're right, it is a rotary switch. Just everyone else calls it. Everyone's been calling it the third paddle for whatever reason. But yeah, because it's a rotary switch, I think it limits what it can be. So he's sort of triggering. He can, what's the word? Can obviously change output up or down of something. So yeah, there's not a whole lot a rotary switch could be. So I think there's talk of it being something to do with the power unit or how it delivers extra power. Like he can change the level. But I haven't really heard much else about it apart from that you're right, it is a rotary switch, not an actual flappy paddle. Yeah, love his carbon. I have to get Instagram because it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Carbon saying apparently the reason was because Max's tyres were already at temp while Ricciardo. Yeah, I heard that Ricciardo didn't get a very good outlap, which hurt. So it just sucks though, because I just like there wasn't much in it, eh? But I guess that's racing. That's how things go sometimes. You do what you got, and yeah, that's how it happened, I guess. Imagine if Vettel did not pit during the safety car. Which safety car? The last one. I don't know if he would have been able to keep up I don't know if he would have been able to manage to have stayed first if he didn't pit. Because the Ultra Softs were definitely so much faster. So much faster. Robin saying, Ricardo sucks, still can't believe it. Yeah. We did talk about that before. It was, I mean, yeah, it did suck. I mean, he totally, what's the word? He just overcommitted. The room ran out, and it was just, at that point, there was nothing he could do when he was on the brakes, except run up the back of Max Verstappen. So going back to the rotary switch, KPH saying, fuel brake bias, engine settings, mode settings, clutch settings. That's the only thing it can be. Yeah, I think I read somewhere about exactly the same things you've just listed. So one day we'll find out what that switch does, I guess. Do I remember Bahrain? A little bit. That was just an exciting race to watch. I don't know if I do remember Bahrain that well. Are you alluding to something there, KK, that I'm not thinking of? Bottas had fresher tyres. Yeah. Vettel held on. True. It's just that it's a different track though. Like the Ultra Softs on the day at Baku, they were just that much faster. You could see from the very beginning with like Carlos Sainz and Hulkenberg, because they started on the Ultra Softs, and you saw how fast they were coming up through the pack, and everyone else was on the Super Soft. I just think if he hadn't have pitted, I really don't think he would have held on. I really don't, because come that straight, he would have been just, even that straight, that second or that first DRS zone coming up into turn 3, I think they would have got him there as well, to be honest. Turns out it's just a drink button for Vettel. Imagine that. It's just a drink button. It's just some super secret drink button. That'd be so funny if that's what it is, because we're all sitting here going, what can it be? He's got extra power and all this crap, and then he's just like, guys, it was my drinks button. I just liked it being like that. That would be funny. That would be funny. All right, I've talked about everything I think I wanted to talk about. And well done to Perez as well. Bottas. Oh yeah, the only question I had for you guys before I open it up to whatever you guys want to talk about is Bottas and the puncture. Do you blame the stewards for that? Or was it just you win some, you lose some? What do you think? Because I don't know. Like they had so much time to clean that track. I don't know how they missed it, to be honest. So I do sort of blame the stewards a little bit for that. I can't really blame Bottas for it, because he said he didn't even feel like he'd run over anything. It just, the wheel sort of stopped working. But like they had it was close to 8 or 10 laps under a safety car. I don't know. And it was clearly something big enough to puncture a tyre too. So yeah, I just wonder why they missed it. KK asking, I'll ask that one in a sec, but Carbon says, it's hard to say, how do you miss something that can cause... I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, these guys had forever, pretty much, to clean the track. And I know that's a long straight, but, yeah, how do you miss it? And I've not read about anything else up on it. I guess it's just... At the same time, it's one of those things. Maybe it was something else that came off after the restart. I don't think it was, though. But, yeah, you kind of think, if you've got, that much time to clean the track, you should really get everything, especially something big enough to blow out a tyre. KK also, he was on New Ultra Softs. There was no, no, I agree. I know Pirelli had the tyre back for investigation because I was watching the notebook that Kravitz does, and they had a shot of the tyre and the Pirelli guy there, like, for some reason he had to hide it and not get it on camera. I was like, the tyre didn't blow up. Like, it wasn't Pirelli's fault. He clearly ran over something on the track that was extremely tough and sharp. So, yeah, Pirelli obviously going to do their forensics, and maybe we'll hear something about it. But yeah, I totally agree. It was not the fault of the tyre just having a defect. It was, and they were, like you said, they were new. It was definitely he'd run over something. Carbon saying, I think it was great sportsmanship from Hamilton to talk to Bottas before. Yeah, I read about that. What if Kimi... So let's pick a few things that you guys have talked about. I'm going to go way back up to KK first. I'll get to everyone else's. Saying, was there any chance that the red flag could have been flown? I was sort of in the back of my mind thinking about this during the race. I don't think it was that bad that we needed the red flag. I know Hamilton did say something. He said Charlie should have red flagged this race because of the truck. But I was like, you were under the safety car. You know, like, I was like, the risk is so small. Plus, you've got the halo now to pretty much protect you from that exact thing. I don't know. I just don't think it was that bad that we needed a red flag. I think it was good that we got to see the race restart, even if it was for 2 laps. It made for a damn exciting 2 laps, because the 20 or so laps before that, in my opinion, it was boring. I might be a little bit too harsh, because some people thought the strategy was exciting, and the strategy was definitely exciting in China, but I didn't think the strategy was nearly as exciting as it was in Baku. So that's my thought on that. Now, let's get back to whatever you guys have said. The McLarens have new barge board vanes. Again, something I didn't see. Is there any indication of how much that's worth? Tenths? The barge board vanes? Even seconds to the McLaren team? That's something I'd like to know about those. Carbon's also talking about the sportsmanship. Yes, if you didn't hear, the podium was delayed because pretty much Hamilton went over to Bottas and wanted to, tell him how good of a drive he had and how he pretty much deserved it. Because apparently Hamilton, he didn't feel right taking the podium. So yeah, it was nice to see that Hamilton is human still sometimes. You kind of forget that every now and then. You kind of just see them as just the racing driver. Because there was, I think especially when he was still racing with Nico Rosberg, there was a point where I absolutely hated Hamilton. But since he's gone, Hamilton is just, I don't know, I've become to like the guy a lot. And yeah, it was really good to see him do that. And yeah, it sort of shows that he does care. He does care. So I like that as well, man. What if Kimi didn't screw up turn 16? Yeah, again, something I also mentioned earlier. Agree. I think Kimi was on it. He was hungry. He just mistimed when to put the accelerator down, because obviously there's no ABS or traction control in those cars. And the wind probably played a massive part as well. But yeah, I think if he had have nailed 16, Kimi would have been numero uno for sure. Carbon saying, it'd be good to see Kimi win. I'm sad he got screwed over in Monaco. Yeah. I like to see Kimi win. I think he deserves a win. I don't know. He's definitely number 2 driver at Ferrari, but I guess you sort of know that going into it, don't you? But I'm sure if Kimi can drive faster than Vettel, he's going to do it because he almost did it on the weekend. KBH talking about the new McLaren side pods. It's only to improve aeroflow off the front tyres onto the rear. However, we could see about 0.2 of a second quicker on cold tyres. Interesting. Yes. The aeroflow off the front. Because that can be quite a turbulent area, can't it? And then it can also ruin, if it's all wrong, it can ruin your downforce off your rear wing, which is what was happening at Force India. Something to do with their wings not playing up with their wind tunnel models and screwing up, you know, downforce on the rear wing because of everything that was going on the front. So that's cool to know. KK also saying, we have competition in F1 aside from Mercs for the first time in the hybrid era except 2017. Red Bull, Mercs and Ferrari are in good competition for drivers and constructor titles. Good to see that on. Yeah, it's good. Even my brother, who watches races when they're not on too late, because he has a life, unlike me. Yeah, even he's noticing that the races this year are just that much more exciting, that they're more unpredictable, that we don't just have 2 silver arrows in frame on TV. We have like assortment of different constructors racing for the lead. So I totally agree. This year has been so much better for that. And yeah, again, I'm going to be interested to see what happens in the midfield, especially after we get our new performance packages in Spain. So I really can't wait. Well, we've got to wait 2 weeks, I guess. But yeah, I agree. The races this year have just been so much better. And the championship lead, I think, is going to be switched and changed a fair bit before we get to the last race of the year. That's for sure. We KPH saying that's why Force India changed the under tray. Well done. Yeah. It's going back to my wind tunnel thing. So, right. Well, that explains the under tray, like you said. That was something I did know about. Finally knew something that KVH did. Carbon also saying the midfield has really gotten exciting, very competitive. Yeah, it has. It's sad to see Williams doing so bad, but like to see Leclerc coming 6th. Like he was running like 8th for most of the race, and then he capitalized on everything happening at the front. But to drive that thing and keep it up there it was astonishing. So yeah, it's really good to see. And then again, we have a Force India making it on the podium. I know there was exceptional circumstances to that, but he had to be in the right place at the right time to get it. Even the Renaults are looking so much better than what they did the last couple of years. So much better. And yeah, I think maybe Red Bull have picked the right engine if they stick with Renault. I think they're on path to some good things. KK, Ferrari has the perfect car to win both titles, but there is still some luck lying in the leaders. No races, I mean. To win both races. Leclerc was 1 second off the front. Was it only 1 second? That's freaking decent for that team, for Sauber. Wow, it's only that's impressive. I didn't realize it was. I know a second's a forever time, but I think that's pretty good for Sauber to be only 1 second off. So that's awesome. So yeah. Unless you guys have anything else you'd like to add, I might end it very soon. Best livery this year. For those playing at home, watching it on replay, comment down your best livery and what you'd give the race out of 5. I gave it a 4. Best livery. Best livery. I'm trying to think. Kind of like McLaren's Papaya Orange. It's probably the best one so far. Because the rest of them aren't that crazy or just different. Probably the McLaren one I'd probably go for at the moment. Probably McLaren. Tommy Gore, Leclerc drove. He did, man. Totally. And I don't know if you heard us before, but he was only a second off Ferrari's pace. So, yeah. Let's see if Leclerc can do something similar in Spain. It's a different track, different thing, different everything. But some good news going ahead for Leclerc for sure, man. He was just on fire. KBH likes the Ferrari all red. Yeah, it always looks good in red, doesn't it? And that Ferrari red, whatever you call it, Maranello red, or I don't actually know, but I kind of like the McLaren for me. Looked beautiful in the pit lane at Melbourne. Buffering. You probably did buffer there for a couple of minutes. No? Actually, I don't know why you're buffering, KK. Because everything is good. But it always seems to be you. Maybe there's like a some issue to YouTube from just where I live to you. I swear it must be. No, I didn't. I wasn't in Melbourne, unfortunately. Maybe I'll go next year. I'm not sure. But it's a little bit expensive sometimes. But if I can get the flights from Brisbane to Melbourne, I will definitely give it a crack. No, I know your internet's good, KK. I just like it hasn't stopped the whole time. It's been saying stream status good. That's why I think there's like some ISP level block. It's nothing that you or I can control. I totally believe you. It's just really weird. It always seems to happen to you. Where do you live, by the way? What country? But yeah. Sorry, I'm playing around with my little light that sits under my face to try and light up my face a little bit better in the dark. But anyway, that's been episode 3. Thanks for coming along, guys. We managed to talk for just over an hour, which is good. I've got a sore throat because I forgot to bring water with me. And I do apologise for not doing this yesterday. We probably would have had way more people yesterday because that's when I advertised it to be. But I tried to go everywhere and tell, like, I went on my webpage, Discord, Facebook, Twitter even. I was like, it's tomorrow night, not tonight. And it was because of my Woolworths hub. But I won't make that mistake again. Yeah, if you got a question, pump away, KK. Pump away. Am I willing to go to Sepang for the race? I need a passport first. Probably not at this stage. I'd like to. I'd like to go to more things, but I don't have the money at the moment. Or is there no race in Malaysia anymore? Well, I didn't know that. No, not at the moment. Don't have the money. Maybe one day. But they apparently need to bring the race back to Malaysia now, says KP. But anyway, I'd like to thank KPH, KK, and Carbon Copy for being with me through the entire stream, and Robin Visa, sorry, my number one fan. Who else? And we had Tommy Gore. as well. Thank you everyone for chipping in. Don't forget, if you're new, to join our Discord. I know the rest of pretty much all these guys are. But yeah, that was episode 3, Baku. I hope you enjoyed the stream. My name is Josh. This is Demo 1 Garage. And we've got 2 weeks till Spain. So you'll probably see me on some GT Sport at some point. So keep an eye out for that. Oh, and yeah, I did like your AOR vid, KPH. I liked how you were commenting on everything that you were doing. It was like it was good to verbally hear what you're thinking. I guess it was good. Wish they changed from the V6 hybrids. What do I think? Bonus question from Tommy. What do I think? I have no issues with it. So I'm not sure, unless you can give me a very good reason why we should changed. Anyway, yeah, thanks to all those guys for joining us along, guys. And yeah, the podcast will be back after Spain, 10 PM, Monday night. And I'll make sure I get the hub fixed. Alright, well, I'll talk to the rest. If you want to keep this conversation going, yes, join me on Discord. But yeah, I'm out of here. And like I said, my name's Josh. This is Demo Garage. Remember to race hard and on the edge. And we'll see you in Spain. Catch you all then. Bye-bye.